Early in November, I had a call from the National Film and Sound Archive saying that they'd found some footage with my name attached to it. And I asked them to send a copy up so I could look at it. And the copy arrived. Here it is. And in fact, it is the footage I shot just after Cyclone Tracy. I'm really thrilled to bits to actually find it. I have copyright of it now. It is mine, and it's the footage I shot 13 reels on the days after, the day after, and I think another 2 days after the cyclone. I always knew I'd shot it, but I never knew where it was, and it had been handed into the National Film and Sound Archives with my name on it. So let's have a look at it. I will stop and point out a few things, but this is the cyclone footage, and here you see that's where it is. Let's go. This is in the centre of town. This is Smith Street on the morning after. That's Smith Street again. It's now been turned into a mall. There are storage warehouses just near Channel 8's site, actually. Driving down from the city down Francis Bay Road. And this is McMinn Street. I don't know whether no one would know it, but if you had lived in Darwin, you might know it. Coming along here, this is perhaps worth looking at again. This is the intersection of McMinn Street and the Stewart Highway. That's a recognisable intersection for anyone who knows. There's the Shell service station coming around onto the Daly Street Bridge, and we're now travelling in the Stewart Highway along the area where there are lots of used cars. This is Stewart Park. It must be very early because there's still a lot of debris on the road itself. It hasn't been fully cleared, and we'll see that later on with trees across the roadside. Now this is Botanic Gardens. You see all the flooding there. The water it's still raining, and there's still debris on the roads here, you see. This part hasn't been cleared either, so it's very early after the cyclone. It must be the next morning, I think, on Christmas Day. Here's some houses now. A lot of these places, I don't know where they are. I've tried to identify various places. But you can see the general wreckage, which is pretty horrible. This footage was transferred from my film reels onto videotape down in Canberra. And they have that as a master down there. They've given me a copy of that master, so I can use it. I had to buy it, mind you. I think this is in Perat where we were living. We're staying in Drysdale Street. The neighbours still look fairly shocked, so this is what also says it must be fairly soon after the cyclone. Once again, I'm not sure where that street is either. As time goes on, I guess people will be able to see the footage and identify it. But you can see there's not a blade of, not a leaf on any tree. And what I've done is assembled these reels in what I think is the chronological order. They came to me out of order, and I've dubbed this as a copy to make sure that there was time correct. So as we go through, you'll see the passing of a day or so. This is in suburban area. Parts of roofs in telegraph poles. The general smashing of houses you can see there. I think this must be Drysdale Street, the place where we were staying after the cyclone. Piece of roofing iron, and looking through past an elevated house through to another house, and you can see these trees have no leaves on them whatsoever. This is a fairly new area, I think, because there are no completely denuded tree, a car with a belt in it. And this is the general look of the town. This is in Drysdale Street. This is the room in the house that I stayed in for a couple of weeks after the cyclone, looking down to next door's yard. The house that we had stayed in wasn't too badly damaged. This was the bedroom up at one end, the bedroom table, the divan. It's all completely wrecked. There hadn't been a lot of footage of internal, the insides of houses until now, apparently. I hadn't seen a lot, but it's interesting to see this sort of wreckage. Now there's a water tower there. I don't know where this is, but it could be in town because that's a spindly water tower, and it might suggest that it is the one in Smith Street, although I'm not sure about that. This is unusual. The house has had all the exterior walls blown off and the interior ones are still standing. Probably grimly. Another reel. This is the front of this place in Drysdale Street in Parap. The tarpaulin has been hauled over the house. The crop duster was spraying chemicals, I think, to get rid of insects or anything that was flying around, so that we weren't going to fall prey to any more disease. It's all handheld. It's a little bit shaky in some places. I didn't have a tripod. I really didn't think a lot about it. I just went around. This is unfortunate. The loop in the camera has become unstable, so the film is being dragged through the camera rather than stop-start through the camera. There is an image still there, and I'll point out a couple of things that I can notice. This appears to be some of the tidying up. We notice here there's a lump of rubble, and there's a there's a truck here, and a front wheel loader, I think this is. There's a dump, a place where rubbish is being dumped there, and this is the front end loader, scooping up a lot of the rubbish and putting it into an area where the rubbish was concentrated. Now, I think this is the exterior of Channel 8 coming up. There's the back end loader. Now this is the exterior of Channel 8, and there's a shadowy figure up the top. That's me. And I'm up there knocking down some of the... there I am. You can see my necklace, my glasses, and my bathers and my shoes, and my big hair. So I definitely know it's me. And I'm kicking away the debris so that it doesn't fall down onto someone else. There it goes. And here I am still climbing, knocking some more down. That shape is recognisable as Channel 8's profile. This is the external of Channel 8, and this is fairly self-explanatory. Seems to have copped quite a bit of damage in the corner here, where the wind has then gone through, and it took out all the equipment within and blew the roof off, as you can see. This is just the main office area, or the front reception area for a start. And this is the front room that used to be the film laboratory and the library storage. Now the clock, we'll just stop there for a moment. The clock has actually stopped at 3 minutes to 4. Now, whether that was at the peak of the cyclone, I think it might have been when either the power stopped. That was a power-operated clock. All of these movies on the back wall are my commercials that I had shot at that stage. And you can see a lot of them had fallen to the floor. And the smell as they dissolved in the water was quite incredible. There you see the film benches where we used to do assembly for the day. I'm interested about the clock. It may have been when they lost power, although it's fairly late. 4 o'clock. I thought we lost power in town at about 1. Still, it may have been that it got on. This is a little bit out of the centre of the town. This is the kitchen, looking out through the roof, and that's the front foyer. That was the manager's office. Oh, must have been the first penetration in there, because Jim is in there. Jim Toomey, who was my boss and mentor, he's in there cleaning up. It appears he's found some more film. I don't know whether it probably would be intact. I can't remember. It would have been sealed in cans. A can with a adhesive right around the circumference, so it would have been protected. This is in the control room. There's the turntable, and to the right was what we call a telecine chain, where we projected films. Looking up through the roof, not quite sure. This must be the studio. Excuse me, the studio. The start of another reel. This is also outside, showing the debris and the break in that corner. There must have been something severe hit there for the whole building to disintegrate like that. This is going into the studio itself. Not a lot of water lying there, but a lot of the ceiling has fallen in because the roof went and the ceiling became sodden and just fell through. You can see it's completely open there. And once the wind got in anywhere where there was a hole, it would have made a larger hole and explosively burst into there and just exploded the room apart. The force of the wind was absolutely incredible. There was a window there which seemed to have been blown out. That was a single black and white camera we had there. There was a colour camera, but it was loaded in. It was in a room out the back, and so we didn't have access to that. Oh, here we are. This is just looking at the Stewart Highway from the road that lead down to Channel 8. Geranium Street, and there's the remnants of the Salonika, or the Geranium Street railway crossing. I'll just stop that there, and that direction up there is leading up to the Stewart Highway. Now we're looking back now down towards Gardens Oval, and that gate there, leads to the Botanic Gardens, and the road along here went to the Channel 8. Yes. Do come in.
Oh.
Thank you. Monica's just dropped in and given me a minty. Just so nice. See the minty here? I'll just pause that for a moment and let you have the minty. I'll save it because otherwise I'll be chewing. These were houses which were on the side of the road, destroyed. Police car with small gouge on it. Now these were warehouses along the Gardens Hill Road, and you can see the transmitting tower just behind there. This I found strange. There's a load of coffins here. Not strange, it was surprising to see so many coffins just in the warehouse. Now all of this area was then cleared to, and units were then built on that afterwards, but we're looking now directly back. Now we're on the other side of the road from Channel 8. From the general area looking back towards town, you can see the travel lodge. The travel lodge is just here. That is a building that was called Top End Tilford, I think, but now it's called something else. And this is looking into the outer edges of Stuart Park and the city of Darwin. Now this place here is the St Mary's Cathedral and the MLC building over there, which we'll see later on. These buildings still exist as well. The Tiwi Lodge, just there, it's been completely renovated now, it's quite different. These are some Chinese cafe now. These are little shops on the edge of the CML building, and in the CML building, the Channel 8 had an office. I went up to that office. This is where I actually phoned Auntie Mary, and Auntie Mary then was able to telephone Mum and Dad and let them know. So this was 3 or 4 days afterwards. Looking across town, you can see the wreckage of houses and the travel lodge with a lot of washing. It appears there's, see the washing? I'll have a look on this screen. It looks like there's washing hanging out of the windows. Obviously everything was wet. There's a person down there. Getting everything dry was a problem, as you can see. This is the old Woolworths building, which is now the post office. This shopping area is here. In the background is Stakes Hill Wharf and the power station. Well, this is right in the city. Now looking down the end of this street, Darwin City Council is right at the end here. The ABC building is just in there. This is a very long shot from the CML building looking down Kavanagh Street. Must be a few days after. There's few people shopping and doing what they do. Now that's a government building behind, and this is the ruins of the old town hall. Now this is preserved in Darwin with just the front, this front piece here. It's just preserved as it is now. It used to be a magnificent building with a roof and all, and it's now been stabilised and preserved. It's an open area where they have play readings. Lovely area. And this is the Reserve Bank. It didn't suffer very much damage at all. Coming right around to the top end of the mall, these buildings have now been demolished. And that's the old Supreme Court. In the centre of town, we're now going down and looking towards Woolworths. There's this building right on the corner here. So this is the old Smith Street, but it's now a mall. And you see a lot of industry taking on down here. They're now clearing up this main area. And I'd say it's 3 or 4 days after the event. There's still rubbish everywhere, but they're starting to clear it up. A friendly policeman gives someone directions. Go down there. Okay, this one is Brown Smart. Now, those of you who've been here may know Brown Smart, and that's where the bus terminus is, down there, that street. To the right, the government buildings, and there is the Reserve Bank. And here's the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Now I pan across here, and down that area there is the ABC, and that's formerly the TAA building. It went up a few more stories after this, and the ABC is this portion here. Still signs fallen down. This must be as a detour. And let's have a look. I can't make out what that says, but that is the old TAA building, now the Qantas building, and this is the ABC here. And now we've got dishes on it and everything. This is in town, and I believe this is Kavanagh Street. That's the old Sutton's site, the corner of Mitchell and Nucky. Some of the men clearing up. Could be soldiers. That's the hooker building just being built with the scaffolding, and that's the old Sutton's building, Sutton's motor Holden dealer's site. Now I've got apartments on it. That's the hooker building. And down here, there's the Supreme Court. I'm not sure where that is. This is outside the old post office. There used to be a lot of phones there, and this is where some of these were working after a few days, and many people would just line up to get a call down south to let people know that everything was okay. The trees. This is the top end of Smith Street. Central Arcade is still there, and the National Bank used to be here, and on the corner to our left is the old post office. Woolworths, still there but fixed up, and looking further down Smith Street. And Jacob was dropping something out the back, a muffler. You can see the general wreckage. This is the top end of the mall. We'll go back there. You may remember this monument here, for anyone who's been to Darwin, the corner of the mall and Smith Street and Nucky Street. That's a park there, there are much more buildings now, many more buildings. And then further round, we're looking down towards McMinn Street, and there's a man conducting traffic. And Woolworths on the left. There's the Travelodge, so we must be in Smith Street looking back, I think. Kavanagh Street, in Kavanagh Street, I think. Inner city buildings, once again mostly demolished. That's the Smith Street water tower, so we must be in another street off from that, either Mitchell or Smith, I'm not sure. Can't work it out. Probably Mitchell Street. That's my car. And this is another proof that it's my footage. 36760, an old Datsun, which went very well. Now this is, well, done that again. This is Mitchell Street. No, which one went right down? No, Smith Street went right down to the hospital. Yeah. Looking up Smith Street now, and this is what really got me. This is the building where I lived, and I'll just take you around a little further. That's the water tower in Mitchell Street, well, it's in between Smith and Mitchell, and this is the block of flats where I lived. This is our lounge room here, and that's a bedroom there. I'll just progress that on a little, and you can see this is the cause of the problems in my place. When I first saw this, I was quite emotional. It still affects me. There's a roof had come flying across and hit this very solid steel rail, broken that, and hit the window of the lounge room. Now I had all the furniture packed against that. All the furniture went bang straight through the kitchen, and once that window was opened, the roof lifted. And you can see the force of the impact here on the building. It's cracked. Looking up from the ground, there is the lounge room, and you can see that it's been completely demolished through there. Once, as I said, the wind got in, the roof lifted. I don't know why I didn't go back upstairs to have a look, but maybe it wasn't my place at this time, or I don't know why. I really don't know. It would have been interesting to see. probably would have been heartbreaking to look inside. But there's the crack on number 5, 125 Smith Street it was. So it's been dealt quite a blow there. A few shredded curtains. So that was one of them. And that was the view across from my place. There used to be lots of trees, now nothing. Of course, wrecked buildings. We're still in town, I can see the antenna there. And my car. That must be over the other side of Smith Street, I'd say. No leaves. Darwin Office Supplies. I'm not sure where this is. I think Salonika, which is just out of Stewart Park. Broken cars. All done by the cyclone. Fire brigade rushing somewhere. A frangipani tree, looking very much worse for wear. Not much left of that house, is there? We're still in town, in Gardens Hill or Stewart Park, I think. And even a fairly solid brick building has been laid waste. Another reel. I left these bits in so you could tell where the reel stopped and reel started. This is Parap shopping village. Those lovely, lovely trees are stripped of bare. And I don't recall, but this is queuing for petrol. Because after that there were very few places with electricity and very few places that had fuel. So there's a long line to get fuel for the car. Verandas and wreckage. And blocks of apartments seem to have fared fairly well, although some roofs have gone off there too. Look at that, a signpost. This must be in Parap, I think. Well, yes, there's the queue for the petrol. If we studied it frame by frame, there are certain landmarks that you could use to work out where you were. That is Parap. Gregory Street is in Parap. Stop that. He's cooking tea on the barbecue in the front yard. Everyone was reduced to being very basic. We had to cook what you could cook. If you didn't have heat or electricity, you ate cold. There was no running water for quite a few days. We showered down at the pipes on the Stewart Highway and made do. It was very primitive. We were a bit luckier after a couple of days. We had a generator, enabled us to, the lady carrying a baby, enabled us to have a few things and even a television as the ABC was still operating. But at least the generator enabled the refrigerator to start and things like that. These faces are 21 years older now. I wouldn't have a clue who they are. Now I think we're moving out to the northern suburbs. At least this shows you a little more of the devastation. Nightcliff. Now this is one place that I could show you with amazing proof that this is my footage. Here's a shot of some fallen down corrugated iron. And here is a shot of me taking that picture. And there I am. This was taken by Jim Toomey, and there's the camera I was using to take all this footage. That's another little corroboration. I always had this picture, and I knew that I'd taken the footage, but I didn't know where it had gone. So that's exciting. I have a little bit of a cold, I'm sorry. Now out at the airport, this was our first foray out there, and I'd gone out with Jim Toomey. And he took a few stills, and I took this movie footage. Cars upside down, planes upside down. It's quite hard to imagine, but of course this was a very open area, and the wind was screaming through here. The wind measuring equipment at the airport broke at 270 kilometres an hour. So that is the estimate we have of the peak of the gale. It may have gone higher, but that's as fast as we knew it went. These are expensive pieces of wreckage. We could find out whose planes they were by studying the registration numbers on it. And there's Jim's car. This one is a blue Datsun that we'd gone driving around in. It all fits together, and watching this has made a lot of things a little easier to bear. I mean, it was a terrible time after the cyclone. There was personal anxiety, there was deprivation, we didn't have food, I didn't get a lot of sleep, we worked extremely hard, and there was a few personal challenges between a few differences between people, and having to put up with things that you wouldn't normally put up with caused me some problems. And because of that, I fancy I blocked a lot of my memories out. But looking at the footage again and again, even the first viewing of this footage made me so much more at ease with the cyclone. It managed to tie up a few loose ends. It made me, of course, my memory was fine because I knew I'd shot the footage. I just can't remember shooting a lot of it. Now I can remember doing some of these things. And in various places I do have a flashback, and I know I was there. So the loose ends are tied up a little more securely. I feel better in myself. I feel more at ease in myself about the cyclone, because it was obviously left a very deep impression on me and Jane. And not having talked about it, you lose the images. If you talk about something as horrific as this, the short-term memory is stretched into the long-term memory. But I didn't discuss a lot of it with various people because we just had to get on. This is a friend of mine, an old friend in Darwin, Peter Morgan, still here. And we had to get on with life like he got on with life. And having this again has prompted those memories to surface, and in a good way. I haven't felt overwhelmed, except when I saw my old flat, the demolished wreck. This is a Navy helicopter bringing personnel out from the ships that were in the bay, the HMAS Melbourne. Many other ships came up to bring sailors, to bring supplies, to bring help for the people in Darwin, because we did need help. HMAS Melbourne was with us for quite a while, and I believe stayed quite a long time. They even had the Patrice, was a cruise ship which came in and moored to provide accommodation for some people, some of the workers. Commodore Johnston, now later, who was administrator of Darwin, was on board HMAS Melbourne, I believe. Having taken on the board a load, the chopper was about to take off. This is on the Esplanade. This is Darwin Oval. It's now called Bicentennial Park, but at that time it was the centre oval for the town, and people played football and cricket on there. the way it goes. There was a brief shot of me here, and I think I passed it. A man standing with his back to the fence. I might just slot it in here. There, that's a shot of me. Here we are, back in town. And we might be progressing to the northern suburbs, I'm not sure. Big house there. Before the cyclone knocked our steel electricity poles down. They did strange things. Twisted some of those steel poles into a pretzel, which is on exhibition now at the Darwin High School. It's out the front as a memento. Corrugated iron flying in the blackened night, flying through the wind and the rain was the worst sound. There's some leaves still on a tree. It's about the only one. But this screeching, searing sound of roofing, smashing, screeching along. There's Jim. Was the worst sound, and above the explosive sounds of thunder and just the banging of the wind. It banged. It was thunder, constant lightning. And being involved in the middle of the storm, obviously the wind is pushing, and what I call explosive decompression. 1 minute you were crushed, and the 1 minute you were sort of being sucked apart by the wind, and this caused your ears to go popping and caused very strange effects. We were all left with the sound of the cyclone. Scary. Very scary. Look at this rubbish. Just there. Look at that house, just as it is. There's been no attempt out here yet to clear up debris. I think some's been taken off the road, but there's no. There's the Para Drive water tower, just there in the distance. This one, and shortly we'll. Not to labour the point too finely. I'll go up on top of the tower, have a look, and this is. It must be Wallagi or Wagaman. This area. It's been pointed out by a couple of the girls who were here during the cyclone. Then they can name these streets. I'm unable to, but the suburb is Wallagi or Wagaman. And these were the outer reaches. These were fairly new suburbs in those days. Not a lot of trees planted in 1974, but houses very well established, not terribly well built. And you can see that in this area the destruction was intermittent. Some houses look okay, but then next door you'll find nothing. Look at this. Here in the centre of screen, nothing. And again, a pile of matches. I don't know who he is. Oh, a Christmas tree. The Volkswagen was probably rolled by the wind to occasion such damage as that. A brick wall, very badly damaged. This part has gone down. Well, a shattered windscreen. A bashed car, fairly badly bashed. The doors have been ripped off. Darwin in 74 was a place you could walk out of and leave your door open and no one would worry about the house. 21 years later, it's a different thing. So in those days there wouldn't have been wanton acts of vandalism. All of these cars here have been damaged by the cyclone. This is the Para Drive water tower. And I got up. Now, I vaguely remember being there. I don't remember climbing up the tower at all. But look at the devastation. In the distance, that one there is Darwin High School. So we can say Para Drive and extending back to the back of the high school in Macmillan's, Macmillan's Road is along the back there. A bit confusing. The Lee Point Road is that major road just running along the back here, just along the back. And this tower, we were looking the other way towards Darwin High School. Now we're looking out towards, well, there's nothing there. There was nothing built then. And Macmillan's Road there was the edge of these northern suburbs. Now you can see, well, this is looking to the east, so that is it is Woollahgi, and there's the, I'll go back on that, the water tower. You can recognise the water tower at the Darwin Airport. And in fact, I think there's a plane here taxiing. Yes, there it is. Must be me, I'm a plane freak. Once again, looking down from the water tower in another direction, you can see just the utter devastation that was wreaked. There's, I think it's a primary school with an oval. It doesn't matter, I guess, to you people. It matters. It will matter to the historians, and they'll be able to piece it together where these buildings are. I'm not particularly worried by it because I can find out as well. But I just wanted you to show. Just wait there a moment. This is Darwin Hospital, right out in Tiwi, which is quite a few kilometres distant. It was just under construction at the start of, in the middle of 1974. So you can see that, and the city sort of ended just halfway between there. And that's the end of my cyclone footage. I hope you understand a little bit of what we went through. I'm just thrilled to bits to have the footage back in my care, as it were. The master's still down at the National Film and Sound Archive. But I wanted you to see that and to talk you through a little bit of, if you looked at it cold, it wouldn't be much, but if you were able to piece together a little bit of our time that Jane and I spent in Darwin on that night and the subsequent days, I think that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, and here are a couple of little pictures to finish off. This is me in my post-cyclone regalia.